Hello and happy Sunday, everybody. So, if you are watching this, this is actually a pre recording. And so, if you don't catch me addressing any of your comments or any of your questions right now in the moment, don't worry. I will be certainly following back up with you, whether in the comments later or direct messages. So, today we are talking about the 1 minute check in that changes everything. The 1 minute check in that changes everything. So here's the thing, when we are talking about value in the workplace and being intentional and creating strategies, a lot of times people think that this involves a 5 step solution or strategy or something that's more long term or even something that is a new program or whatever the case may be. But many times it is something that each of us have access to right now. And that's what makes this so very valuable. And that's why I'm really excited to be sharing this with you all on today. And just a reminder, I go live every Sunday. And I know that I've been hearing from y'all, and I know y'all like, what are you going to talk about? Well, you're not saying it like that, but you're saying, what am I going to talk about? Letting you know in advance. So I will do better about posting beforehand, letting you all know some of those topics. So if you want to tune in, you can plan to tune in, or if you're planning to catch the replay, because I certainly want to continue to hear from you all. Okay, so we're talking about the 1 minute check in that can absolutely change everything when it comes to creating workplace value. It was probably about, oh, a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, where I was really frustrated with one of my coworkers. And I was like, you know what? I was talking to my husband. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell that person off. Like, and I talk with my fist, but I wasn't gonna like beat them up or anything, y'all. It was just like I was gonna get something off my chest and be able to share what I felt like needed to be shared. And my husband, in all his wisdom, was like, well, what do you want to gain or from having that conversation? And that completely just stopped me in my tracks because, to be honest, at that point I didn't have anything that I wanted to gain. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to say what I felt like needed to be said so that that person could know that what they said, it offended me, or you know what I mean, like, just go ahead and share that. But that really stopped me in my tracks, and it got me thinking, well, what do I want to accomplish? And in that moment, I realized that with that particular situation, I honestly did not have a a goal. I did not have a point for that conversation. And so ever since then, this is something that I have started to that I've shared with clients or in workshops, not in every single workshop, just depending on what that topic point is, but just really thinking through before we have that next conversation, before we send that next email, what do we want to accomplish by doing that? How does that help, either help the situation come to a resolve? How does that help us come to a solution? There's so many things to really think about. But the amazing part about it is that it only takes 1 minute to think through that. And so, why does this matter? Well, in one of my workshops, I speak about something that I call the career value triad. And within that career value triad, one of those, I talk about 3 P's, and one of those P's is performance. And when it comes to performance, there are a couple of things. One being, many times people confuse being performative with performant. So we have performative and performant. The goal when it comes to workplace value is to be more performant. And I don't want to take you down this whole technical aspect, so I'll try to go ahead and cover this briefly and swiftly. When it comes to being performant, that's the goal. Performant is about actions that either lead to a direct outcome, a direct result, or it is something that is contributing to moving progress forward. Performative or performative theatrics. This is something theatrics. This is something that it may look good on surface. So, same thing, sending those emails in meetings or having those conversations, but it's not necessarily working towards anything, but it looks really good, creating reports, but the reports aren't providing information that is absolutely necessary. But hey, you sent 3 reports today. So that's kind of that difference when it comes to being performative versus performant. And so when we talk about this 1 minute check in, we are talking about identifying within 1 minute, how is this action that you are about to take, how is that going to be something that is going to contribute toward progress? Contribute toward progress. Now, if any of you have been following me for any amount of time, or perhaps you've listened to some of my previous live streams, one of the things that I always share is that every single person has value. That's self worth. You don't need a certain title, you don't need a certain position in order to be the absolute amazing person that you are. When it comes to workplace value, this is different than self worth value. Each of us are absolutely worthy and we deserve the best. Workplace value is our opportunity to translate a piece of our value in the workplace, or to share that in the workplace, in opportunities or in situations where others find it useful. And one of the ways to do that is to ensure that how we are contributing is something that is contributing towards progress, is contributing towards the desired outcome or the desired results. So, before your next conversation, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, just 2 questions. I got like all my hands up, but just 2 questions. I want you to ask, what value do I want this person to walk away with? And what do I want to accomplish? And it may be either or, but what value do I want this person to walk away with? And what do I want to accomplish? So before you send that email, before you hold that next conversation where you want to tell somebody off, before you lead that next meeting, what or how does this accomplish that goal? How does this accomplish that desired outcome? In some cases, it may even be appropriate for you to even share that with the person. And I'm not talking about telling them, oh, I've been working on my 1 minute check in and I just want to check in with you. No, we don't have to tell them all the details, but simply asking them, or making a statement that, this is what we are. I want us to leave this conversation with a clear check in on our top priorities for today. Just making that known. Not every situation is going to lend itself to being to making that statement clear, especially like if it's a one-on-one conversation. Sometimes that may be awkward, but as long as you have that identified with yourself, then that is going to be a huge game changer. And it only takes 1 minute. It only takes 1 minute, and it can make a world of a difference, because maybe that's something that doesn't need to be done right now. Maybe this is a conversation that doesn't need to be had with this person or with this audience. Maybe it is something that requires a little bit more thought into it. But in order for us to know that, we have to give ourselves 1 minute, just 1 minute. We think about all of the different information that's being put out. And one of the things I do truly believe in is time and consistency. And I also recognize that sometimes people don't have time. Like we want to do something that's going to be effective right now, right? And this is one of the the tips that you can try, and I would love to know if you plan to try it. So if you plan to try the 1 minute check-in, I want you to just type yes. Remember, I'm not live right now, but I would love to know that you are going to try it. So type yes. Let me know that you're going to try it, and then I will be happy to check in with you and know how it's going, to know perhaps are there any adjustments? Are there any tweaks that can be done? So who's trying this 1 minute check-in? That is my challenge for you this week, is to identify an action. It doesn't just have to be a conversation, but identify an action where before taking it, you give yourself a 1 minute check in. I'm just going to check in and figure out, what does this accomplish and how does this create value for the other person? That's it, y'all. That's it. And you will start to see, number one, your energy is not being expended on every single task. And then we do become more intentional over time in what we are doing. So I would love to hear from you and to hear how that is going. All right, y'all. So this was a little bit quicker than 15 minutes today, but again, I absolutely enjoy checking in with you all on a weekly basis every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. If you have any questions, you can feel free to place them here in the chat, or follow up with me in direct messages, and I would love to continue the conversation. I hope that each and every one of you have a great, wonderful week ahead, and remember to stay adding value. All right, peace out.